Hey guys, we have a new week of astrology to get into. This week, it really all centers around relationships. Venus and Mars, masculine and feminine, are in an opposition all week. That comes exact on Thursday, the 12th. Mars retrograding through the sign of Leo, Venus in Aquarius in a conjunction with Pluto. This is likely to be a time of some very powerful internal transformations that are expressing themselves in terms of some altered behavior and maybe some changes in direction in terms of like how we want to proceed with things moving forward. We've got a real powerful energy for change coming through this week. The moon is also, interestingly enough, transiting through both Aries and Taurus as we move through the week this week. Aries, of course, ruled by Mars, Taurus ruled by Venus. Mars and Venus in the opposition. I'm telling you guys, it's all about relationship dynamics, attraction, like repulsion, what's working, what's not, what we want, what we don't, and what we're going to do as a result of these changes that are going on within us. We also are in some real strong black moon energy this week as well. The black moon is currently transiting through the sign of Libra. That's Venus's other sign. The moon in Aries will oppose the black moon, but the black moon and Chiron are going to come into exact opposition this week as well. Honestly, especially maybe in the energy of Tuesday, things could get a bit messy. This could be pushing on some wounds or some subconscious triggers for sure, but there is a very, again, like powerful healing influence and ability to break ourselves free from maybe some karmic bonds or something that we've been enmeshed with for a long period of time. Detox, I feel like, is quite a centralized theme in the midst of all of this relationship type of stuff as well. All that being said, you guys, we got a lot to get into as we start our week this week. So let's do that. Let's look at all this in some more detail and see if we can come up with an idea of what we might be navigating as we start our week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, December 9th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me until the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field from more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an additional energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So we're going to do that at the end. There could be some messages in there for you. We're going to start at the beginning with the astrology, and I feel like it is probably quite an intense week, especially again in the context of these relationship themes and dynamics that are probably coming up. However, it is not as busy of an energetic week this week as it was last week. We do have somewhat of kind of like a pause or a break in the action this week, which is kind of funny because we also just had Mars station retrograde. Mars rules our action and our energy and things moving forward, and when Mars stations retrograde, things have a tendency of kind of like taking a bit of a pause or hesitation or backtracking a bit as well. And this week is definitely, like I said, a break in the action as opposed to last week, which was so much. It was like everything happening at once. Pretty much the majority of the aspects taking place in the month of December as a whole occurred between the 1st and the 7th of December. If you guys watched my videos from last week, we had a new moon, we had 2 planets station and change direction, we had a planet change signs, we had Sun square Saturn, we had a bunch of exact activations and transits happening, and it was just like everything at once, and also one thing after another, and it could have felt like that in your experience of last week. This week is not the same. It's not that busy. It's not like everything demanding our attention at the same time and like pulling us in all these different directions and just like our list being so long. But there is, I would say, a level of intensity to the things that are playing out. Primarily, you know, Venus right now happens to be in a conjunction to Pluto. When Venus is in a conjunction to Pluto, this can be sort of more just like an intensive time. Generally, it can bring kind of like an air of obsessive, compulsive, very focused on things, also like powerful desires, powerful transformations, powerful internalized shifts in the sign of Aquarius. This could be like really like no longer having a tolerance for something and needing some type of like intense or extreme or unexpected or sudden breakthrough or change or shift to happen. When we bring in the fact that Mars, you know, Venus's counterpart, is actually in an opposition and then stationing retrograde, it's a very, I'd say, like unusual, unique, interesting Mars-Venus opposition that we've got playing out. And it's not that it's that rare of a transit, but to me what makes it unique is the fact that we have on one hand Mars retrograding through the sign of Leo when they come into this opposition, and on the other hand Pluto in the opposition as well, conjunct Venus at 0 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. Like, this is powerful. And then Mars is going to continue to transit backwards and come into the second of 3 exact Mars-Pluto oppositions, which is a dynamically volatile and transformative aspect, to say the least. So with the Venus influence in here, Venus is what we want. Venus is what we value. Venus is what we love. Venus is what gives us comfort. It's also relationships, it's partnerships, it's other people, it's resources, it's assets. Money is very associated with the Venus energy. And I just feel like this is indicating with Pluto some very deep changes, transformations that are having a powerful impact on us in terms maybe of what we want, what we desire, what we're attracted to. And with the Mars opposition, maybe changing some behaviors, changing the trajectory of things, changing our plans, changing how we act, changing our habits, changing what we want to do generally moving forward, what we want to build, what we want to grow, what we want to create. Remember, Venus is also in a mutual reception right now with Uranus in the sign of Taurus, which is actually going to be activated later this week as well, when Venus and Mars do come into the exact to the degree opposition on Thursday. And Venus and Uranus in a mutual reception is also indicating a desire for some change. Like, I need something new. I need something exciting. I need something stimulating. That's what I want. That's what I'm attracted to. That's what I desire. I need to be free. I need it to be real, and I need it to be authentic. I've been saying since like 2019, 2020, it just seems so clear in the energy field. Anything out of alignment with authenticity is just not going to make it through. And I have a feeling the energy that is coming through this week, December, also, you know, kind of this whole month of December, the Sag cycle that we're in right now is really, really going to be like bringing the thunder in terms of coming to a point of being ready to make these big changes and things actually maybe that we've been involved with or enmeshed with or even addicted to for a long period of time, becoming on some level intolerable if they are presenting with any level of like fakeness or insincerity, or if it's just on the surface and there's nothing deep about it. Venus and Pluto, like, we want depth, man. Like, we want depth of connection. Like, we want what's real and what's true. And in the sign of Aquarius, we're just not attracted to anything that is, you know, on the surface. If it like deeper than a puddle, you know, like, we just don't want it. We're not going to be attracted to it. It's going to lose the appeal. And so things in our lives, you know, it could be people, it could just be relationships, it could also be like friendship dynamics and stuff like that. Anything that we feel like is two-faced. There's also, I've got to say, and I've been saying this since my new moon report, there is something about polarities, doubles, the number 2, and now Venus and Mars coming up against each other. Like, anything that is like two-faced or that appears one way but is actually the inversion of itself, we're likely to gain a greater understanding that of somehow, or maybe it will just make itself more known to us. And I think things like that are definitely going to be playing into whatever it is that we may be figuring out, deciding, shifting in this energy as well. But relationship dynamics, very powerful times of change with Venus and Mars in the opposition and Pluto right there as well. Tension, things coming to a head, coming head to head, coming face to face, a face off. All this type of stuff could be very relevant as well. And on, as I mentioned in my intro, we also have the moon transiting through both Aries and Taurus this week. Aries ruled by Mars, Taurus ruled by Venus. So our lunar activity, by, you know, the placement of our lovely lunar luminary, is also throwing the ball to both Venus and Mars all week. Like, we start the week on Monday actually with the moon in Aries coming into a conjunction with the North Node, the destiny point. This is like right out of the gate this week. There might be a fire lit up under us to take some action to make something happen. But the moon in the conjunction to the North Node will also be forming a fire sign trine with Mars retrograding in the sign of Aries. Like I said, the moon is emphasizing Mars to start the week, and then the moon will enter Taurus and start emphasizing Venus. We'll actually talk about that in the next video. But Monday and Tuesday this week, as the moon is transiting Aries, we actually are getting set up with another grand fire trine. We have Mars in the sign of Leo right now. We have Mercury retrograding through Sagittarius. We got the sun in Sagittarius. We have Chiron, the North Node, and the moon right now in the sign of Aries. So we've got fire sign planets in all the fire signs that are going to be activated by trine aspect, feeding really one another, facilitating the energetic expression of each other. And of course, it's this fire energy. So we could be inspired to act, to make something happen, to do something, or honestly, just as likely to like undo something, to back away from something, to disengage in something, or maybe to like redo or fix something. All of those could be expressions of this Mars retrograde energy, which is definitely being emphasized, especially on Monday, by the trine that the North Node and the moon are making to Mars. But the entire time that the moon is transiting through the sign of Aries, this is emphasizing and supporting the expression of the Martian energy, because that's what happens whenever a planet is in a specific sign. The ruler of that sign, it's important to know, what's going on with that planet in order to know how the energy of the planet in the sign, transiting the sign, ruled by that planet, is actually expressing itself. So I do think that Monday and Tuesday are probably going to be more action-oriented days. As we move into Wednesday and Thursday, things could like chill out a little bit. The moon will be moving through Taurus. The moon really likes to be in the sign of Taurus, and that is going to be emphasizing the Venus feminine energy. But again, Venus in a mutual reception with Uranus, Venus in a conjunction to Pluto. This is like a desire for intense change. So while the active force of things Monday and Tuesday may be like lighting this fire up under us to want to do something, remember, the North Node is also the destiny point. This is where we sometimes feel compulsively pulled in a way that may be a bit out of our control to like do something in Aries, to make something happen, to act. But with Mars retrograde, again, also it could be backtracking. It could be also like not moving forward, taking a pause, somehow hesitating, but something that is emotionally compelling us or emotionally driving us to do something on some level Monday and Tuesday. That's what I'm thinking. And then as we move into the energy of Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to begin to put a greater emphasis on not so much what we're doing maybe, but what's going on in terms of other people, or in terms of our own preferences and desires and what we're wanting maybe to do going forward. But with the emphasis on both Venus and Mars, lots of things having to do generally with couples, partners, collaborations, joining forces, or the opposite, polarizing, repulsion, uncoupling, pushing things apart as well. There is a powerful regeneration and transformation, I think, that's going to be taking place this week within the feminine energy field, and also kind of this fated or necessary reworking of the active component of things in the masculine energy field, the masculine dimension as well. Venus, feminine, Mars, masculine. In the opposition, Venus with Pluto, Mars going retrograde. What we want is changing. Who we are, how we act, how we perceive, and how we relate to ourselves, and therefore the world around us, changing as well. As a result, there could also be kind of like an inner conflict that's going on this week between maybe like what it is that we're realizing we really want at this point in time, and also how we actually act, what we actually do, and maybe like the contrast between those two things, like realizing like I want this, but I'm doing this, and if I want this, I need to change the way that I'm doing this, because if I keep doing this, I'm never going to get that, and that's where I want to go, and like that's what I've decided on, so as a result, people could really be varying and changing up how they're going to approach situations and just handle themselves going forward. There could also, of course, therefore need to be some type of reconciliation that goes on within us as we move through this week and try to maybe like integrate these newly emerging desires with lifestyle changes or habits, or just the way that we're using our energy generally. It needs to be altered in order to support the new growth or the new direction that we find ourselves heading towards. I do think this energy is pushing for some major personal change happening this week and throughout the month of December. We are going to be deciding to do things differently, and that's really when change happens. It's not about like wanting to make a change. It's about once you decide that you're going to start doing things differently, once you decide that you're going in a new direction and that you are going to change, that is generally when there really is follow through and we find our transformations happening. We are making important personal changes as we move through this month and this winter that are going to probably end up impacting the majority of our lives, like kind of across the board, like full spectrum life upgrades really is what this energy is trying to pull out of us. I think that it will have a lot to do with the things also that we're just not willing to involve ourselves with anymore. I think that a lot of us are going to be coming to like a stopping point. Maybe things that we've been involved in or that we participated in throughout the course of our lives, but just coming to the point sometime this week or in this month of December where we're just not going to do it anymore. Things feeling intolerable, like they can't go on, have to be addressed. And this amped up energy as we move into the beginning of this week could be giving us just like the spark that we need maybe to address some of these things, with the moon in the north node forming this grand fire trine with Mars and Mercury and the sun today and tomorrow. People, as I said, are going to be ready to act. And I think probably separate themselves or detach from things that are perceived to be toxic in any type of way. As I mentioned in my intro, we also have some pretty significant black moon action happening this week as the moon does come through Aries. Tuesday specifically, the moon will form an opposition to the black moon, who actually is in an opposition to Chiron this week. The moon will conjoin Chiron in Aries in nearly an exact opposition to the black moon, and the sun in Sagittarius, remember I've been talking about these fire sign trines, is also on Tuesday going to be an exact trine to Chiron, sextile to the black moon, and the moon in Aries will be in that trine as well. We have a sun moon fire sign trine that is activating Chiron and the black moon in exact opposition on Tuesday. This, I feel like, is and then with Venus and Pluto together opposite Mars retrograde, things that have been toxic to us or that have represented addiction or codependency or dependency generally, or like places where we've been giving our power away to receive something external that we're realizing just isn't good for us or is stealing our power in some type of way. These are the things that I think this energy is likely to expel, purge, or cause us to want to finally get rid of, not involve ourselves with anymore. It could be a week of detox or change that is like really starting to feel like a very good idea, especially again with the Venus-Uranus mutual reception that we've got playing out as well. There is a desire to reinvent ourselves, a desire to recreate ourselves, and we're just, honestly, a lot of people are just naturally going to be doing this without even knowing that this type of astrology is going on. I think a lot of people are just going to be finding themselves at a point where they are ready to call it quits, call it a day, walk away, cut ties, go in another direction, like just be done with a certain chapter for a certain reason. It's gonna probably have to do with the self when we're talking about the Mars Aries element so strong, Mars ruling the self, the inner self with the moon in the sign of Aries. The moon is about our internal environment, our feelings, what's going on inside of us, our emotions. Mars retrograde is also internalizing these energies and personal change. Retrogrades rework and reconfigure things. Mars is how we use our energy, and it's the self. So the inner self, personal changes. This is going to be a very emotionally driven energy as we get our week started. And with the opposition to Pluto, Mars and Pluto in an opposition, we've been dealing with this energy since November. This is a ruthless energy. This is a very volatile energy. We're also in a period of time right now. Remember that star Antares has been very prominent. This is a very, being calculated, strategy, doing our best to really like see the whole picture that's unfolding and not making decisions from that place of emotional reactivity, but rather thinking things through, wisdom through experience. And that whole concept really of wisdom gained through experience and how applying that when we find ourselves in repeating patterns can actually help us to release ourselves from maybe some of these repeating patterns or these karmic loops that play themselves out in our lives. That whole stream of thought right there is represented largely through the Chiron archetype, which is something that we're going to get more into talking about in a minute. Chiron represents the wounded healer, teacher, master archetype. It's where we initially, experience some type of wounding or trauma that kind of sets us on this path to self-healing, which ultimately culminates in this experience of self-mastery and being released from the very karmic loops that may have set us on that course or path to self-healing in the first place. And when we're dealing with Chiron, it has a lot to do with alchemy and transmutation, healing, and ultimately release from those karmic cycles as a result of wisdom gained through experience and applied in the context of them, those patterns repeating themselves in order to break our way out. And as we do move through the week this week, Monday into Tuesday, the moon is going to come in a conjunction with Chiron, which is going to emphasize those Chiron themes. Of course, the early stages of the Chiron archetype, this has to do with our wounding, our pain, our unhealed trauma, our vulnerabilities, our weakness. So as we move into Tuesday, you guys, there could be some wounds that are being pressed on. And not only that, the black moon is in an exact opposition to Chiron. Black moon transiting through the sign of Libra. The black moon takes 9 months to transit any sign. The black moon rules our shadow side issues and the unhealed wounds within us that manifest in terms of sort of like these powerful subconscious compulsions to do and act and behave in certain ways, largely generally as some type of defense mechanism resulting from those unhealed wounds and traumas within us that are very much tied into those karmic patterns that the Chiron element also represents. We've got Chiron and the black moon in exact opposition to each other. On one hand, this could really, really be activating by trigger those unhealed wounds and the shadow side reactions associated with them. However, it is also a profound opportunity to gain an awareness maybe of some of the more hidden dimensions of what those actually are and the powerful influence they've been having in our lives so that we can actually see them and begin a process of healing, overcoming, transmutation, alchemization, releasing ourselves from them in the nature of the hero's journey represented through the Chiron archetype, and also just what Chiron ultimately eventually does, attaining this phase of self-mastery, co-creation outside of the subconscious programming based in the ego wounds, the lower instinctual nature, the childhood trauma that may have bound us to those lower states until we were able to come to that point, okay? So that being said, when we do have these two forces also opposing each other in the sky, and it's like the black moon, that's like the dark side of the feminine energy, and Chiron is in the mythology, was the teacher of all the great epic heroes, okay? So again, we've got feminine and masculine energy juxtaposed to one another, just as we have Venus and Mars juxtaposed to one another this week, and the moon coming through the sign of Aries, hitting that conjunction to Chiron, while also on Tuesday, we have the sun in Sagittarius forming exact trine to Chiron. Both luminaries exactly aspecting Chiron and the black moon by opposition opposition and sextile. The moon will be opposing the black moon. The sun will be sextiling the black moon. There is truly opportunity for some type of karmic breakthrough, deep-seated healing and release that is going on this week, especially again when we add in the Venus-Uranus mutual reception that is going to come through really strong as we move through the week, moving into Thursday when Venus and Mars come to their exact opposition and the moon will come into a conjunction with Uranus in the sign of Taurus. So there just is some maybe growing up on some level this week. We're finally coming to the end of needing something maybe that we thought we always needed. I also think, again, ability to break through addictions and enmeshments and strong attachments and dependencies and stuff like that, we're being very, very supported in as we move through the week this week. Now, of course, Monday and Tuesday with that Aries moon could be a more conflict oriented time, probably more prone to conflict this week. When the moon enters Taurus on Wednesday, things will likely chill out a bit. But that also activates Venus and Uranus, extreme desire for change, and it's going to be spontaneous, could be quite shocking, wanting to reinvent ourselves, suddenly finding ourselves totally unattracted maybe to what we always had been and totally attracted to something totally new we'd never even looked at before. And as a result of that, of course, when we're talking about the opposition to this Mars retrograde energy, and we're going to be talking about this all week as we move through it, what's going on inside of us rippling outwards, causing these reverberations in terms of what we're actually doing, what we want to be doing, how we want to be acting, the relationships that we want to be engaged with, and the behaviors associated with them. And then, the black moon Chiron situation as well, powerfully confronting karmic patterns and our own shadow side nature. Or we could really be experiencing this in the context of others as well. With Venus and the Pluto, with Venus and Pluto together, we could also be really seeing a lot of people's dark sides this week as well with the Mars opposition. People could be acting very much so from their shadow side nature, kind of just giving 0 Fs. Now, this could play in maybe in some way to this very emotionally raw or vulnerable or wound trauma oriented energy that could be coming up on Tuesday, especially for you guys who are Aries or Libras with planets around maybe 18, 19, 20 degrees. That is where right now, Chiron is at 19 degrees of the sign of Aries. The sun will be at 19 degrees of Sagittarius on Tuesday when the moon comes into the trine. So if you have planets, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius around 18, 19 degrees, this Chiron energy could really be getting to you. And if you're a Libra with planets around 18, 19 degrees as well, the black moon is preparing to conjunct whatever planet you have at that degree. So you could also feel extra triggered or just really be dealing with some of this more black moon shadow side vulnerability, old wounds coming up, Chiron oriented energy. Tuesday is probably going to be a very fiery day. We should kind of give people some space this week. A lot of us are really going to be going through it on some real, I think, deep emotional levels. But there is an opportunity for some true healing to come through despite maybe the surfacing of some of this ugliness that could also go along with it. And, that being said, it is a very polarized energy right now. I've been picking up on these themes of twos and doublings and just pairs and also contrasts and stuff that is being represented more significantly in this month of December in the Sagittarius cycle as well. And we could just see that play out in terms of what we're dealing with. Anger when we've got an Aries moon could also be in trine to Mars, and the fire sign trine also could also be something that is driving action this week, or that we need to overcome, or that is actually motivating us maybe to change or to fix or to end something. But regardless, there is likely to be some type of notable motivation or just impulse, to make something happen or make something unhappen, perhaps more likely as well. And again, as I said in the beginning, this is a highly creative energy. Whenever we have Venus and Mars coming into an aspect with each other, this is also giving potential for heightened levels of creativity. So if we are, you know, riding high on this energy and you're not really getting caught in any of these energetic currents that could be just kind of bringing up some issues that we need to deal with internally, focusing on creating, starting something new, like hatching something, you know what I mean? This is also very supported in the energy, and things are changing for the better. Opportunities and new beginnings are coming with all the endings and all the changes that are coming right now as well. And we actually have, it's funny, we have Mercury at 10 degrees of Sagittarius on Monday to start the week. That Sabian symbol is a golden-haired goddess of opportunity. And we also have the sun at 19 degrees of Sagittarius. That Sabian symbol is pelicans menaced by the behaviors and refuse of men seek safer areas for bringing up their young. So we literally have symbolism talking about deciding that maybe something is not such a good idea anymore for some reason, and needing to find a new solution, a new alternative to do something a different way to alter our habits or behaviors, and also these golden opportunities that this time could be leading to and representing as well. So that's really what I have to say about the astrology today, you guys. Huge, I think, emphasis on relationships this week, and more specifically, how we're changing how we feel about things and how that's altering what we want to do, maybe in the context of various relationship dynamics moving forward. Now, let's move on to our tarot reading. We actually had a very brief tarot message come out today. It's not surprising. We are looking at 3 cards in reverse. Actually, the only card that came out of the deck today was the Strength card in reverse, which is so funny because this Strength card to me, it like really is associated with the Leo energy. I mean, with the lion on the actual card. And with it in reverse and Mars retrograding in the sign of Leo, I just feel like this is a Mars retrograde in Leo reference. We also have the Ace of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups in reverse as well. And I kind of feel like, again, this could be talking about just sort of a pause, like maybe a need to reconsider what we thought we were going to do, how we thought we were going to build or construct something, what we thought we understood to be true, or the nature of the relationship or the message in the context maybe of someone else, a relationship, a partner, some type of interpersonal dynamic. With this Strength card in reverse and Mars retrograde in Leo, again, this could just be us questioning what it is that we really want. What is it that we want to pursue? What is it, where is like the true source of our motivation? What makes us feel like strong and vigorous and healthy and alive? And what is toxic to us and is like stealing our life force or stealing our power or keeping us in a perpetually weakened state, maybe detached from the true source of our creativity or our inspiration? Or this could also be bringing up, again, like inner child issues that have been persisting maybe subconsciously for a long period of time, that have been stifling our creativity or keeping us in a disempowered state somehow. Anyways, with these 3 cards coming up, I just kind of feel like maybe this week these are some themes that we're dealing with, maybe having to consider where we've been and why we've been maybe lacking courage or lacking strength or lacking motivation, or maybe now why we are reconsidering a certain course of action. Knights have to do with, I mean, they're on a horse. This is moving, this is delivering some type of message. This has also to do with like the way that we're feeling about things moving forward. With this in reverse, it's like maybe we're questioning how we feel about things and what we want to build, what we want to grow, what we want to continue to put effort and energy into, and whether or not it's going to grow into what we thought it was going to. But with the Strength card in reverse, Mars retrograde, again, I feel like this is just maybe indicating that we are reconsidering our motivations or the root of our action or what we really want or what we're capable of. And also with the Chiron element and all of that, this could also like literally be referring to just a sense of maybe being in a bit of a weakened state, questioning maybe whether we do have the strength or whether we do have the courage or whether we do have like the assertiveness or the power to move forward with something. And again, with all of this inverted energy, I feel like it's going on inside of us, not necessarily as much outside of us, although outside of us is likely to be reflecting a lot of this depth and intensity and transformation that could be going on inside of us. So that's what I have to say about our tarot message for today, you guys. We're going to get a Synchronicity card now. God, Spirit, Universe. What is one final piece of guidance or inspiration, or what do we need to keep in mind? What should we remind ourselves of as we begin this week and start to move through this? It's like polarized energy. We have oppositions going on all week. And it's so funny because that being said, we actually had two cards come out, you guys. We have Stop Fighting the Situation and we have Trust, which honestly, the duo of these two cards I feel like are very powerful in combination, and I love that it was these two specific cards that came out in the midst of what this energy seems to be bringing to us. So let's just read the cards, okay? Stop fighting the situation. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12:21. Look, even 12:21 is the reflection. Don't fight or wage war in your own mind. The enemy is a negative thought of fear, anger, hostility in your own mind. Don't act under the sway of negative emotions. Replace the negative thought with a positive one. Claim all the while that God is guiding you and giving you peace of mind. Seek spiritual guidance, read your Bible, or go to church. And then our second card says Trust. Trust also in him, Psalm 37:5. Trust in God to lead you to the person you need to fulfill your needs. Make certain you are the type of person that person would wish to associate with. Make certain you have defined your needs and desires before you make your request. Remember, all things are possible through God. So stop fighting the situation, you guys, and trust what is underway right now. And we do have a moon north node conjunction to start the week as well. As I've been saying, you know, we are in some highly spiritually attuned and divinely aligned times right now. Divine intervention is taking place. A lot of things are being shaken out again to sort of rid them of the like lack of authenticity, or things really just being a proper energetic match for one another. I think that's really important for some reason as we move through this period of time right now. And our guidance is, you guys, to stop fighting the situation and to trust the unfolding process. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would be interested in this type of astrology content as well. Leave me comments. I am so grateful for your presence on my channel. If you guys are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group linked in my description box below where I post images of those boards. So if you want to see them, that's where you can find them. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys, as today we have been talking about a lot of Mars energy. We're going to be talking about a lot of Venus energy on Wednesday, and we have the exact Mars-Venus opposition that's coming through on Thursday. So we've still got a lot to talk about this week, you guys, and I will be back to talk about it on Wednesday. Hope you all have a beautiful start to your week, and I will see you then. You don't want to miss it. And until next time, bye guys.